Hi, have you ever created a perfect system to help you be consistent and then felt like garbage when you couldn't stick to that system? We create systems to reduce overwhelm, and then the system itself becomes overwhelming. If you've got a graveyard of abandoned planners, unused apps, and half-finished organization systems, this video is for you. Today, we're talking about how to tell when your system has become the problem instead of the solution. If this is you, welcome to the neurodivergent experience. This system building seduction. I'm sure you spent actual money on planners that you used for 4 days, digital planners, physical planners, apps with monthly subscriptions that you forgot you had. Maybe pause now and go cancel those. And you know why? Because creating the system gives us a massive dopamine rush. Actually using the system every day, that's boring. That's the hard part. This is how our brains work. We find the new system, we get super excited about the potential, we spend hours, maybe even days setting it up. We use it for a very short time, life happens, and then we abandon it. And this is where things get tricky. This is the trap. When the tool designed to help you becomes another source of shame. Like when you miss logging your time once and then you feel like the whole system is ruined. Or you skip your morning routine checklist and then you think, well, I already messed up all of today. Now you're supposed to do the work, track the work, review the tracking, optimize the system. When opening your planner makes your chest tight, your anxiety is spiked, that's a problem. The system is supposed to serve you, not the other way around. So let's look at some red flags to help you decide whether or not the system you have is helping you. So red flag number one, you love setting it up. ADHD brains love novelty, creation, possibility. That's all in the setup phase. But the maintenance, the routine, that requires executive function that you might not have. If you're spending more time in setup than in execution, that's your first red flag. Setup can be part of the process, but it can't be the process. Red flag number two, your system assumes perfect you. This is huge. Most systems are designed for the person you wish you were, not who you are. If your system only works if you remember to check it, babe, you have ADHD. You're probably not going to remember. Any system that requires you to be on every single day is setting you up to fail. If you show me a neurodivergent person who's never felt overwhelmed, I'm going to show you a liar. I tried becoming a morning person, a morning writer specifically, when my daughter was a varsity swimmer. I had to be awake at 5 a.m. anyway, right? It made sense. I'll be part of the 5 a.m. Writers Club. But I couldn't produce anything. I'm a night owl. See me at midnight, I can do things. 5 a.m., not happening. You're allowed to build systems around who you actually are. In fact, that's the only way they'll work. So you need to look at your system and think about whether or not the system works for who you actually are. Red flag number three, missing one day equals total failure. This one is insidious because it feels like motivation, but it's actually shame. Raise your hand if you've ever abandoned a habit tracker after breaking a streak, right? You figure it's all ruined now. These systems are designed with neurotypical brains in mind, ones that can maintain streaks, but your executive function fluctuates. You will have off days, maybe even off weeks. If your system makes you feel like shit when life happens, it's not a good system. Good systems have built-in flexibility and recovery protocols. Red flag number four, the system is harder than the task. Neurodivergents love complex systems, don't we? It appeals to our need for perfection, our love of details, our desire to optimize and make all the things work. Let's be efficient. But complexity requires executive function, the exact thing that you struggle with. What works better? A notes app in 3 categories: do now, do soon, do someday. Your system should have less friction than just doing the thing. If your system is causing more stress than the actual task, it's not really serving you. And red flag number 5, constant fresh starts. How many times have you said, okay, this Monday is when it's all going to change? I get it. Fresh starts feel good. The possibility, the hope that this time things will be different. But if you're constantly starting over, you never have a chance to build momentum. Usually because the system wasn't sustainable in the first place. But What if instead of starting over, you just adjusted? If your morning routine isn't working, instead of abandoning it and throwing the whole thing out, remove two things from it and see if then it will work. Iteration beats reinvention. You don't have to start over, tweak what you have. Okay, so if all of these systems trap us, what do we do? So for me, my content system means that I create when I'm inspired. I schedule in batches and I post when it's ready. So when you have a high energy day, you do three things. A low energy day, you do one or rest. My system has a restart protocol. Open this document, do these three things, and then I'm back in the flow. The best system is barely noticeable. It just helps you do the actual work. I don't have to fight my tendency to get lost in hyperfocus. I build my batching time into my system to allow for it. None of these things here require perfection because you can't live a perfect life. I mean, nobody can, but neurotypicals will sell themselves on the idea that they can. So let's talk about how to tell whether or not your system is actually serving you. So you ask yourself these questions. Can I use this on a bad brain day? This is the ultimate test. If it doesn't work on your worst days, it's a fair weather system. It's not the best for you. It's not sustainable. Does it take less than 5 minutes to engage with? Anything that takes longer than 5 minutes to start is too complicated. Can I skip a day and pick back up easily? Life happens. Systems that don't account for this are setting you up to fail. Am I actually doing more work, not just tracking work? At the end of the week, have you actually accomplished the things or are you just managing your system? And finally, does it reduce my anxiety instead of increasing it? Your nervous system tells the truth. Does opening your planner make you feel good or make you feel tense? You need to be honest with yourself on these questions. If you answered no to any of them, it's time to simplify what you're doing. So I'm about to give you the most boring, unsexy system advice, and it works. Pick one tool. I don't care if it's perfect, a notes app, Google Doc, whatever, just one. And then you have three categories. You don't need 15 priority levels. You need do this now, do this soonish, maybe someday. Have a daily check-in, not a 2-hour planning session, 5 minutes. What's the most important thing today? And then finally, your weekly review. 15 minutes to adjust course. What worked? What didn't? What needs to change? I know this feels very simple, but that's what we need. You don't need, your brain wants something more impressive, but simple works. Complex abandoned planners don't. You can always add in some complexity later if this works and you genuinely need more. So if you're in a system trap right now, here's how to get out. First, just notice without judgment, this system isn't working for me. It's not about shaming yourself, but I spent the money. No. What's the actual problem? Be specific. Maybe your morning routine is too long. Maybe you're tracking too many things. Maybe you're using the wrong time of day. Then you're going to make one change, not a complete overhaul. You're not blowing up the whole thing and starting over. Change just one thing. And then give it 2 weeks. It needs actual time. 2 days isn't enough to know if something's going to work. And then iterate. This is your ADHD superpower. Your great iteration and experimentation. So now that you've tested the one change, did it work? Did it not work? Okay, what's a different thing we can change? And go from there. Here's something that nobody ever wants to tell you. You're allowed to quit. If a system isn't serving you, let it go. I know you spent money on it. I know you spent time setting it up. I know you wanted it to work, but continuing to feel bad about it helps nothing. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is actually acknowledge this isn't for me and move on. No system beats a system that makes you feel like shit every time you use it. Right now, think of one system you've been guilting yourself about. Give yourself permission to let it go. Before you adopt or create your next system, run through these questions. Will it work on my worst days? Seriously, imagine your most overwhelmed, lowest energy day. Would this work then? Can I maintain this during busy seasons? Life gets crazy. Systems that only work during calm times aren't sustainable. Does it account for my energy fluctuations? Does the system assume that you'll have the same capacity every day? That's a red flag. Is it boring enough to sustain? Exciting systems don't last. Boring, reliable ones do. And I know that your brain's like boring. Who wants boring? But boring is easy. And the final one, would I recommend this to a friend? This one is powerful. If your best friend came to you struggling, would you tell them to do this? We often hold ourselves to standards we'd never impose on others. So treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping, because you are. Let's wrap up with what actually works. The real formula, a simple system, simple, almost a very basic, almost boring, easy to remember system. Realistic expectations built for your actual life and brain, not for the fantasy version of you. Built-in flexibility accounts for life happening, energy fluctuating, and being human. And self-compassion. Mistakes don't mean failure, they mean that you're learning. When we look at the second formula, it sets you up for failure. The first formula might not be sexy, but it works. And 6 months from now, you'll still be using it instead of shopping for the next system. So I don't want you to watch this video and then move on. I want you to actually do things. So pull out whatever system you're using or trying to use and run it through these 5 points. What's the biggest pain point? That's where you start. Then remove steps, reduce categories, eliminate tracking, make it easier. And if something is just dead weight, permission to delete, throw it away, unsubscribe. This isn't going to be perfect, and that's okay. So what system are you ready to let go of? Or what's your graveyard of abandoned systems? Seriously, I want to hear your graveyard stories. And I guarantee that someone else needs to hear that they're not the only one with 47 unused planners. If this resonated with you, share it with another entrepreneur who needs to stop beating themselves up. Remember, you're not bad at systems. You've just been using systems designed for someone else's brain. Thanks for being here. Now go simplify something.